Well, hello friends. Today we are going to continue working on drag and drop in the system. So just a quick recap of where we left off. So we have added the ability to initiate a drag here in the file manager. And the drag is something that lives in the Windows server and at the moment is basically an icon and a piece of text. So if we select a bunch of these things here, and then we try to drag all of them, then it kind of concatenates the names of these things, but we don't have the full path to any of these files or anything like that. So we can't really meaningfully drop it on something. So what I would like to achieve today is just the ability to take a file here and then just drag it into the text editor, which would then cause the file to open in the text editor. Now, we already have it set up so that we can drop something on the text editor and we'll get a notification in the text editor process here that something was dropped on us, but all that we really see is that this string was dropped on us because, as I was saying, all the data in a drag operation is just the icon and a piece of text. So we're going to have to tweak that a little bit because I think the text makes sense. Like, it's nice to see some label on what you're dragging around, but we're also going to want something, something bigger inside that thing. And I'm not exactly sure what is the best solution for that. If it's either that we put all of the stuff that we're dragging, like if we push it all over to the Windows server right away, so then the Windows server has like everything he needs to complete the drag. So even if the thing you're dragging from were to go away or lose state for whatever reason, then we could still complete the drag as long as you've initiated it. There are some, appealing sides to that. But at the same time, like, imagine that you're dragging something huge. It's kind of, it might be a little premature to push something huge to the Windows server before you're actually sure that you want to perform a drop. But I'm not really sure what's the best approach. So I think for now, we're just going to allow you to include a bit richer data. And in our case, what we really want is like a list of URLs, because I think that's what we're going to want the file manager to generate when he's dragging stuff. But if you look here at the Windows Server start drag IPC call, we see here that it has a text and a bitmap ID and size. So let's just put something more here. I'm thinking, I don't know, like a data. And we can probably maybe we can get quite far with that. So let's just try it that way. So let's see, what do we have to change? If we send that, we just have to include data here. Okay, so we'll just pass along mdata, which is something we'll add to the drag operation. So string mdata, and maybe it might be better if the data would be like an arbitrary memory, which you would then be sort of free to interpret however you like. Or maybe we could have something like mtype and mdata. Oh, crap. QCreator crashed. Doesn't happen every day. Well, come back, QCreator. Windows Server IPC. So let's include the type as well. Data type and data. Okay. And then start drag. We were doing that here. We'll call that data type. I think then we'll do something like void set data type const string data. We'll just use string for now for simplicity's sake, but In the future, we'll probably want to switch this to using raw byte array or something like that instead, or even like a piece of shared memory. But for our purposes today, I think this will be okay. And then in the directory view, which is a G item view in this case, where we initiate the drag, we're going to want to produce a, let's see, here's the initiate the drag. We are going to want to produce a list of URLs. So what we currently do to produce that string is we make a string builder and then we iterate over the selection. So all of these selected items in the item view, we append those and put a little space character in between them. And that's how we make the string, but this is not going to be enough for the contents. We want the full URL. So maybe we'll call this the text builder, and then we'll also have a data builder. So data builder append, and here we want to get the URL. So how do we get the URL? I guess we're gonna need to see. Should probably ask the model, because this is item view code, so he doesn't know. It doesn't know what is the relevant drag representation of what we are trying to drag. So we're going to have to ask the model. So here we'll call this text data, and then this will be the data or drag data. Model data index gmodel role drag data. Okay, so this should give you something draggable for the specific index. And then we'll just append that. We'll just assume that it's going to be a string at the moment. And I think data builder will separate him using new lines, because that will make it a bit easier to work with. Of course, this is not going to be perfect, but it'll be something. Data, we want drag data. Okay, and then we have to go and define a new model role. So model roles are this concept where a data model has tabular data or tree-based data, and everything can be addressed by using a gmodel index, and then at each data cell in the model, there are multiple types of data, one for each type of role. So the display role is usually like the text that shows up on screen when you put a model in a view. And then we have these other things like the sort role is the number that we use to sort based on. So even if you have text that shows up in your table view, for instance, in the actual cell, you can still sort by some different number. If you like click on the column header in a table view to sort that column, then this is the actual data that gets used to implement the sort. So it's not doing alphabetical sort based on the text in the cell necessarily. Anyways, that type of stuff. And then we have these others. So we're going to add a new one now called drag data. And this will be an optional, obviously, data role where you can return something, and then if you try to drag this index, then this is the data that we will produce and put into the drag operation. So I guess we're going to want to implement this in our model that we're using. So in this case, that would be a G directory model, I think. So this is what the data implementation looks like. So we're just going to say if role is role drag data, and we'll say this will only be relevant for one specific column. It will be the say the name column. And wait, how does it know to use the how do we know that we're supposed to use, it's the model column. So the model column tells us which column in the model that we are displaying in an item view, because as I was saying, a model has tabular data, so everything is like rows and columns, unless it's a tree model. But basically, it's the easiest way to think of it is just rows and columns. But in a table view, you have rows and columns, right? So it's easy to show all the data. But in an item view, you only see like an icon and a piece of text for each item. So the model column tells us which column from the model to source the text for each item from. So in fact, when you're running the file manager here and you switch between the two different views, then it's the same data model, just that here when you're in the item view, then you're seeing the name column only displayed, whereas here you can see all the columns, and the name is just one of the columns, so you can see all these other ones. And we could actually switch the model column here to be something else, like the permissions or whatever, or the modification time. If you wanted, then they would show up as the labels instead, but obviously showing the name makes more sense. So, but this is good. This means that we know that in the directory view here in the file manager, we can see that it calls set model column with the name column as the specified model column. So we only have to care about producing drag data for that column. So for any other column, we'll just say return doop. Okay, and now we want to make a URL. So in fact, I see that we already have this business right here, custom. So, but I think we're still going to go, we're not going to use custom for this, because we want something sort of generalized that will work in any item view. So full path, and I think we're even going to turn this into a URL just cause. So let's say, how do we do this? String, or let's make a string builder file, builder append, something like that, and then return builder to string. Okay, so this should give us that, and then when we have to set this data also. So we'll do let's see, drag operation, set data, and the data type will be I guess URL list, I'd say, or maybe we'll even call it, well, URL list is fine probably. And drag a data builder build to string. Okay. So then in the text editor widget, or text editor widget. So this is the in the text editor app. This is the main widget. So I think, or where does the drop end up actually? When we did the drag and drop, just do that, and we just drop some file here, bloop, it gets dropped on the text editor. So I think what we want to do is, oh frick, how do we want this to work? We definitely want it to propagate to parents. So if nobody catches the thing, then we'll propagate the drop event to the parent widget. But text editor widget is the guy who should accept this event. So we'll override drop event in text editor widget. Drop event override, and oh no, just event actually. And then in this, we're also going to need to include the data type and the data. This is the event that we're going to get from the libgui event loop when there's something dropped on us. So we want to include these fields. We're going to have to populate these fields also. Data type. Data. Okay, so this stuff comes into us in the G Windows Server connection object. So we'll get a here a drag dropped message, and we just have to grab a bit more stuff from it. So actually, let's just initiate a build so that we get the new IPC message definitions. So what are we calling that? Data type. When do I get these? Data. That's not working out. Window client. Oh shit, wow, yeah, I forgot to add it to window client. We have to actually put this here. So this is the message that gets sent to the Windows Server client process that receives a drop event. So here we'll just include the data type and the data. And then we gotta make sure that we are including that when we post it from the Windows Server. So that would be the drag and drop data type and the drag and drop data, which is stuff that we haven't populated yet, but we will. This will be pretty straightforward. D&D data type, D&D data. Okay, and start the D&D drag data type. Oopsie doopsie. Okay, and we will just const string data type, const string data. This is going to be very interesting. Oops, I forgot to need to look for that in more places. Make sure we call it correctly also. So that's here, but all the extra information we need is already provided to us in the start drag message. So message data type and message data. Of course, this is on the Windows Server side. When we get this request coming in from one window client, he tells us start the drag. Then this message will contain not only the text and the bitmap, but also now the data type and data, which we will pass along to window manager start drag and drop drag. So I realize that maybe this is a little bit all over the place how it works, but essentially the Windows Server coordinates all of the drag and drop. So the moment you initiate a drag in a process, you sort of push all of the responsibility over to the Windows Server, and he takes care of it from then on. Because that's something that never quite sat right with me in X11, how two clients are supposed to negotiate, like copy paste, for instance. It's like you sort of advertise that you have copied something in your window, and then someone else can try to paste that, and he will have to negotiate with you how the paste should happen. I don't want that. Oops, smacking the microphone here. I don't want that. I just want something where the Windows Server acts as like a literal clipboard and just holds on to the thing. So what did we mess up now? Drop event probably has the wrong number of arguments right here. And we are creating just making new drop events because we are adjusting the mouse coordinates so that they are widget relative. It's a bit of a hackish way to do that. In fact, we could probably use the same event and just tweak the coordinates. but maybe it's not the most important thing. So anyways, we'll say drop event data type, drop event data. I don't know, maybe this is a bad pattern. Like we do the same for mouse events here. Like an event comes into a window, and then we do a hit test. Like we look through the widgets inside this window to figure out which widget was this dropped on, because all we know from the Windows server's perspective is which window was this dropped on and at which coordinate inside of that window. But then this code here, it looks inside the window because each window has a widget tree with buttons and things, right? So the hit testing here tells us which widget did you drop this on, which one did you hit, and then we, in order to give that widget a drop event, then we make the coordinates of the event, the mouse coordinates, relative to the widget. So that's what we're doing here. We're just creating a new drop event with widget relative coordinates for the convenience of the widget and the consistency of the API. Because it would be very tedious if widgets had to be programmed to take the fact that all coordinates were window relative rather than widget relative into account. That would not be very pleasant. Anyway. I feel like I did everything I needed to there, but maybe I got sidetracked with talking. Start and drag. So text editor widget. We want to make sure that we get something here. So text editor widget drop event. We'll log the data type, maybe in parens, and then we'll log the data. And of course, the way things are right now, we can't actually open multiple files in the text editor widget. So we're gonna have to hope that you only send us one, but I have a feeling that we're not even gonna get this event at this stage yet though, because I think the event is going to be swallowed by GWidget, because GWidget has a drop event handler here, and what happens is that when we do the hit test that I mentioned, then we discovered that, okay, so you're dropping it on the GTextEditor widget, which is like the central interactive widget in the text editor app. What's this widget right here that I'm typing into? That's the GTextEditor widget. And then the text editor widget, which has a pretty crappy name in this context, actually, so maybe we should look into renaming that. But the text editor widget, not the GTextEditor. The text editor widget is everything inside this window. So it's the main widget, including the status bar, the GTextEditor in the middle, and the toolbar. All of those are children of the text editor widget. In fact, we could probably attach the inspector, and I can show you. If we inspect this guy right here, then we can look at the G window, and it has a text editor widget inside of it, as I mentioned. And then these are the children: toolbar up top, text editor, and a widget, which I don't even know exactly what that is. A GWidget child, huh? And then a status bar at the bottom. What the frick is that GWidget child? That's making me curious. GWidget. It's the find widget. Oh, I bet it's that. So if we press Control, wait, what is it? Control F? No? Yeah, it's supposed to be Control F. Okay, maybe that's not working right. Oh, it is working right. Okay, I just had the keybind wrong. So this is the find widget. We can see here, if we look into it, actually, we would notice that it has a text box child, which is this text box, and two button children, which are these two buttons. And if we look at this is fascinating, by the way. I really love the inspector program. If you look at the second button, we can see that the text on it, can we see that somewhere? We don't actually see the text on a button. Oh, that's a shortcoming that we should fix in the inspector program, but it's not exactly what we're doing right now. Anyways, I just wanted to show you what the text editor widget is. So it's the guy, the main widget of the window. Anyway, so, oh frick, I guess that killed the text editor program. So there's a bug that we should look at. So let's drop something on him. And what do we get? G text editor. We get a drop, but we don't hear anything from that code that I wrote, which was here. We didn't get this text editor widget drop event. That's what I want to see, because I don't want to handle the drop in the G text editor widget. I want to handle it in its parent. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to ignore drop events that come in, and that will, in G widget. So the base class of all widgets will log the fact that a drop happened on them, but then they will just ignore it. And that what will happen then is that the event will bubble up to the next parent in the widget tree. So basically then it will go all the way up to window where it stops. And that will give everyone a chance to respond to this drop event, or at least it will give the next parent a chance, and it's up to the next parent to give the next parent a chance. But since all the parents are going to be G widgets, unless they do something specific, then they will all just ignore by default. So eventually, or this is the parent of the G text editor, as we saw, so he should be the next one in line to get a chance to handle this drop event. So we'll just drag this there, and now we can see that the text editor widget drop event has received a URL list, and this is the URL list. And what happens if we select multiple? Then we get a URL list with all the different URLs on separate lines. So I think we can work with this. So let's see if we can just tweak or commit something here. So this one we can just do by itself. libgui. GWidget drop event should ignore the event by default. This allows the event. This will cause the event to bubble up the widget tree, giving right. Yeah, that's definitely what we want. And then all of this other gunk, it's basically just plumbing the adding the data type and data to the IPC code. So we can just commit that, I think. Or everything kind of fits together, actually. But we can still commit all of that. So servers and lib. Am I accidentally committing something now? No, it doesn't look like it. So we'll say Windows Server plus libgui, add data type and data fields to drag operations, drag. Type fields to drag operations. So these fields are intended to carry the real meat of the drag operation. And the text is just for what we show on screen alongside the cursor during the actual drag. The data blob is just a string for now, but in the future we should make it something more versatile. Call it data field. Okay, or maybe versatile is the wrong word, but more flexible. Okay, now what did we have here? So when we drop on this guy, we're going to want to react to that. So we'll say if event data type is URL list, maybe we should have a defined set of these somewhere, I'm not sure, but right now let's just use a string. So if it's a URL list, then let's see, we'll say auto lines is event data. Can we get the split view? We just split them so we get one string view per line. Pretty simple. For auto line in lines. In fact, we can probably even do it this way. Then what we want to do with the line is auto URL is URL from line. And then we have to actually include URL. So this, we should definitely do this in some nicer way in the future. So like, you know, if event data type is G drag all data URL type URL list or something like that, and then you would do something like event data type as gdrag data URL list. I don't know, for each URL. I don't know, but we don't have to do that now. This will do just fine for our needs. So, or actually, let's split this out so that we can look at the number of lines, because we can only handle one anyway. So if lines size is not 1, if it's empty actually, just ignore it. Otherwise, if lines size is greater than 0, we can do a little message box. Show two one at a time, please. Text editor can only open one file at a time. This can be the title, or actually, no, that's fine. G message box type error input type okay, and who is the parent? It's our window. Return. Otherwise, I mean, then we know that we have only one, so auto URL is lines 0. URL from that. And then we'll say, how do we open? Do we have open? Open Sesame. Wow, that is fancy. So we'll just try to open it to like that. Does Open Sesame return anything? It doesn't, but it will show an error if it can't open. Okay, that's fine. Open Sesame. I wonder who put that there. It sounds like something Robin would put. I bet that was Robin. Sesame. No mention? Plain text editor widget. It's this commit. Moving the application UI to a different file. Right, so it was in main before this change. So main Sesame Robin. Yes. Ha. Wonder if he'll ever come back to hacking on Serenity. He was very busy in the beginning there, doing lots of cool stuff, and then he had to go and do work, like his job needed him, I guess. It's a shame. Maybe he'll be back one day. People are always welcome back, you know? So let's see how this goes. Can only open one file at a time. Well, dude, why are you mad at me? I only have one file. Why do you think I have more than one? Okay, well, I probably botched that logic in some really obvious and stupid way, so let's go see how. Drop event. If the size is greater than 0. Yeah. So how about we say if the size is greater than 1 instead? Because that was very silly. So we want it to be really, really easy to handle the drop event on the side where you receive something, right? So really, it shouldn't be more difficult than this. No, not BR. Give me the file manager, and then hit me with the text editor. Then we're just going to drag the IRC client, ploop, and it opened. That's pretty cool. Let's open something else. My file, poof. That's very nice that it works. Okay, so wait, what happens when I drop this? Boop. Now I can't click on it because it doesn't react. And it takes 2 clicks. I wonder why that is. Click. It's almost as if I'm stuck to this window. I wonder why that's happening. Initiate drag was accepted. This window has focus. Is it because I think maybe it's because I'm dragging from here and I'm letting go here. I think this window server probably still thinks that I am interacting with this window. So that's something that we have to fix. But the drop definitely works if you try to drag 2 at the same time. 1 at a time, please. Very good message. Okay. In fact, maybe we should also bring that window to the front when we do that, because it's a bit weird that it's sort of interleaved here. So we have like this guy on top and then this guy in between. We should bring the text editor front when you do that. So we'll say window, how do we do that? Move to front. And I think that'll be pretty good. Applications text editor. I just want to see that that looks okay. So let's grab 2 files and ploop. See, now text editor jumps in front when you drop something on it. I think that makes perfect sense. So let's keep that. Okay, so I think we can commit this. It's very straightforward, very simple, quite elegant. Of course, we'll leave the debug stuff here for now. Or do we need it? We don't need it. We'll trust it. We probably did things right. So say text editor, handle drop events. Wireless. Handle drop events. This makes it text editor, or we now handle drop events with URL list, data type URL list. This makes it possible to drop a file from File Manager on text editor to open. Very cool. Of course, now I'm kind of wondering, what if the document is dirty? I don't want to, because like, what if I didn't save? Like tap, 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 and then I just drag something on there. That's not nice, the fact that it doesn't stop me. So we should, we have all this, oh, this is text editor. We have all this dirty logic in the text editor program. Request close. Wait, what happens if you request to open a file in text editor though? Tap, 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 open. Oh, so we don't handle that case nicely already. Well, that's a little bit nasty. But I think we will file a bug about that then, and then we don't have to do it right now. So bugs to file, text editor. Ask before opening something when the current document is dirty. Okay. And I think we're good then. So then we'll just move on to, shit, what the frick did I even want to do? I totally forgot what I wanted to do next. Let's do Quick Show, because we have this app called Quick Show, which is just a dumb little viewer. And also, it looks totally wrong. Why does it look like this? Quick Show main. So we're gonna make him, we're gonna handle drop events on this guy. Obviously, that's what we want to do. But I'm just wondering now, why does it behave this way? So the main widget is a QS widget, Quick Show widget, and he has constructed set fillet background color true, set background color this. So why isn't the background black? I wonder. That's really strange. Let's open up some other PNG. Come on, right here. Oh, definitely broken. So when we move it around, are we doing something goofy? Mouse move update. Relayout update. Why does it behave? No, that's the wrong program. But why does it behave that way, I wonder? So if we resize the window, then it's fine. But if we just move this around, then it seems like it's only repainting the area. where the bitmap is. Relayout, mouse move. How does this work? When we paint this guy, what do we do? Paint event. Oh, wait, hold on. Fill with background color is disabled because the bitmap doesn't have an alpha channel. Well, this feature doesn't make any sense. So it only works for bitmaps with alpha channel, because then we would fill the background with black, and then you would see the black through the alpha channel of the bitmap. But if it doesn't make sense, I think this is just some old feature from back when it wasn't possible to zoom out in QuickShow, so you can only zoom in, and because of that, you could never get the background around the bitmap. But I can tell that I haven't worked on QuickShow in forever. So, QuickShow, don't disable background fill. Let's just make sure that we got that right. So, yeah, that's more like it. All right, so don't we have any more bitmaps somewhere? I guess if we just open QuickShow, actually, we'll get this big, cool retro wave thing. Doof, 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 doof. Very cool. But what I want to do is I want to be able to drop something on this guy. How nice would that be? And it should be pretty easy to integrate with our new drop event thing. So I was just thinking we could just hook drop event here. Drop event, drop event. Alright, and how is this hooked up? Because we need to open a file and everything. So currently, we open the file out here in main. But, oh, and then here we have update window title. The path is kept outside of the QS widget, but we'll just put the path into the QS widget. I think that's okay. So load from file, let's say, and then QS widget. We'll say widget set path, and QS widget. This will be a little bit awkwardly factored, but not terribly. You know, it will be okay. And we'll have string path const return m path whatever, and when we update the window title out here, this code, it will grab the path from the QS widget. So let's put that up here. Let's see. That's fine. Characters. So then, oh, and we need to set the path. And then in QS widget, when we drop on this fellow, drop event, then text editor widget, let's just borrow the same code we got here. So we'll move to front. Move to front is almost like a good default behavior for drop events, but I'm not sure that we want to make it the default. Maybe we should make it the default. But at the same time, it's not until you accept the event, and in fact, I forgot to accept the event here. We should let the world know that we've accepted the event. There's no need to propagate it any further. So we can do that straight up. Have text editor. Just merge that into a previous commit. Ah, jeez. Okay, hold on. Squash this into the previous text editor commit, whatever, just so I don't forget. And then we will finish the QS widget stuff. So what we wanted to do here is, again, accept the event up front, move the window to front, and then if the data type is URL list, then we'll also complain if you drop more than one image, because we can't really handle that. But Open Sesame is not what we want. We want auto bitmap is graphics bitmap, load from file, URL.path, and then we want, I guess a quick show here. If no bitmap, then gmessage box show failed to load bitmap. Maybe we'll put the bitmap path in here. Failed to load that. That would be the URL path, or URL to string, let's say, characters. Quick show error for to load. Cannot open image. Gmessage box type error, gmessage box input type. Okay, center above this window. Return. And if it does work out, then we'll say mPath is mPath is the URL.path, and then we want to reset the scale and everything. So how do we do that? What are the default values? Scale 100, and everything is, we'll just set it to scale 100, see how that works out. Scale 100, and then we'll do an on scale change. Okay, so maybe this will be okay. Wait, what's wrong with that? I have to pass mscale. Oof, made it in time. So obviously this little app here was not really set up for opening a second file after we open the first one. So could probably do with some additional restructuring, but it's also decent the way that it is. You don't have to make everything perfect right now. Just want to get the drag and drop feature working. And then of course, the better we can make the drag and drop, the better. Okay, so let's start QS, and then we'll just drop something on him. Like, how about this 90s BG right here? And that didn't seem to. Oh shit! I forgot to actually. So save the path, but then I also need to update the bitmap. So the bitmap is going to be bitmap. That's the one that we loaded, and I think maybe that's it. So applications, quick show. So we can run. Come here, you bloof. Oh, and we need to actually update when we do this. So we'll do an update. And maybe we should center the bitmap. Rect is m bitmap. Where do we assign this originally? Bitmap rect set size. So we should do a relayout. So we'll do a relayout and then m bitmap rect. Relayout will update, right? Yeah. So we change the scale. Do on scale change, then do a relayout. Move or set location. Or center within the rect of the widget. Ooh. Center within is my favorite rect function ever. You can center one rect within another rect. Amazing. It's so boring to do that manually. Look at that. It's now centered within. And it works. That's so cool. But wait, I feel like something was not quite right there though. Because let's look at the window title. 90sbg.png, that updates, but we keep the old size information. So I guess that also comes from the main file here. It's using bitmap size, the original bitmap that we loaded. So we should actually use the widget bitmap for this. So widget bitmap. We'll do it that way. And we should probably also get rid of this bitmap after we've loaded it. So do something like bitmap. We'll just say get rid of it. Don't have to hold on to multiple bitmaps. This can be restructured to make it nicer and unified, the way that we open files. But we need to expose the bitmap so that it can fetch the graphics bitmap. Bitmap.footer. Okay. Because now he'll use the currently open bitmaps stuff. Although I feel like we haven't set that. Yeah, exactly. We haven't set that yet because we're calling update window title before we've assigned the bitmap to the QS widget. So we'll just do that first. A little bit of goofiness going on here. Okay, here we go. Now we should be able to open up another bitmap and get the window title to update correctly. There we go. Very, very cool. Of course, if we zoomed in, we open another bitmap, even if it's the same one, it zooms back out to 100%. Very good. Here's the opacity, holding down the window key and using the mouse wheel. Little known feature of the Serenity Windows server. Now you know it too. Okay, so that's a quick and dirty implementation of drop event support in QuickShow. Implement dropping an image file on the QuickShow window. Now open. Now try to open image files dropped on us from File Manager. Very cool. Oh, we should. I'm going to write out a little bit of a comment here. This code should quick show code is not exactly well factored. and should be fixed up to do the same, to not do the same thing twice, etc. I want that still though, the smiley face there. Okay, oh, now I remember what I wanted to do before. It was in Windows Server that after I drop, it takes one more click before I can actually switch windows. So if I open text editor and do this, then if I drop Rainbow CPP on here, click, it's open, and it has focus. But if I click, I'm not actually clicking in this window, and I can't start selecting. It's the second click starts. So click events still go to this window for one click event after the drop. And I think I can figure out why. So in Window Manager, we have this concept of an not the active window. Oh frick, what's the name of this? Is it the cursor tracking something? Cursor tracking button? No, that's not it. Is it the click metadata clicked window? Is it this kind of? It's the double click info. That's only for detecting double click, but we click down. Let's see, we click down on someone. So here is the process mouse event function, which is kind of unpleasantly large. A lot of it is because of menu handling. It all happens in the mouse event handler, probably, or not all of it, but a bit of it. So oh, here it is, active input window. So I think we're going to have to drop the active input window when we shouldn't be the active input window anymore when we initiate a drag. Once you initiate a drag, then you're no longer the active input window, because then a drag sort of is supposed to conceptually exist in a like this floating above the windows in the Windows server. So the purpose of active input window is that I'll show you, is that if you have a button here, right? So I click down. Now this window here is the active input window. So all mouse events will now go to the About Serenity window. Even if I go outside of it, the About Serenity window is still receiving mouse move as I do this, because I'm still holding down the mouse button. So if I come back in, and it goes down like this, right? And it's not until I let go of the mouse that, or the mouse button, that this window is no longer the active input window. So I think this is the mechanism that we are tripping up here with the drag event, because the way that we initiate the drag event is that we click down on something and start dragging it. So as far as the Windows server knows, I've clicked down this window and I'm still not letting go of it. So that window is receiving all of the mouse events right now. But we don't want that. We want to, what we've done here is say like, okay, we're dragging now. So I think by the time we start a drag in the Windows Server client connection here, then we want to tell the Windows Server that now we're dragging. You don't have a active input window anymore. So start D&D drag. Actually, you should probably do that. So in addition to invalidating the cursor, we will also say active input window is null putter. Servers, Windows Server. I think this will do it. Sync and run. So now if I drop Rainbow CPP over here, click, can I select right away? Yes, I can. Isn't that just lovely? All right, so it worked. It's pretty cool. When I drop this, click. And then notice how the cursor is still an arrow, but when I move, it becomes an I-beam. That's something else that we should probably fix at some point, but it's not exactly straightforward. But anyway, this is really cool. Now we can drag to open files. And this will probably crash it. Yeah, because that was not a text file. So let's also try the quick show thing once more. So let's open up something in Res Wallpapers. Oh, I only have that one wallpaper here. Emojis. We rarely see these guys. Look, it's Sergey's favorite emoji. It's really cool that we can now drag to open these. Bloop. Bloop. Oh, look, it's the old folder icon. Shit, can't believe that's still there. Totally forgot about it. Old file icon. Should actually remove those from the tree. Didn't realize they were still here. Okay, so I feel like we have achieved something quite nice today. So let's commit that last fix. Windows server. Starting a drag should forget the active input window. Dragging when we're in a drag. We're no longer concerned with streaming mouse events to the window that initiated the drag. So just clear the active input window pointer. This fixes an issue where you have to click once after dropping a drag. Drag and drop in order to release the mouse from the active input window. Great. And then finally I had to do that little squash there that I wanted to do. So where was it? Squash, you bastard. Oh no, get this. Squash. Doof, 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 doof. Nice. And okay, so this is going to be it for today's video. So if you made it this far, then I thank you for watching and for hanging out while we hack on drag and drop. Look at this cauliflower. I drew this icon. Isn't it beautiful? I have to appreciate this a little bit. These are from the snake game, by the way, which will rotate through a couple of different vegetables here that you can find. Anyways, I don't know why what we're doing here. So pretty happy with this, how this turned out. I hope you saw something interesting. It's very nice of you to come here and hang out with me while I continue to work on the Serenity operating system. And of course, if you would like to support my work in some way, then you can find me on Patreon and GitHub sponsors, and there are links in the description for those kind of things. But I'm just happy that we're all here and we're having fun together. So thanks for hanging out, and I will see you next time. Bye.